Hi, welcome to the virtual orientation for the 28RLS Jay Flight by Jayco. We're going to begin the orientation on the outside of the RV, and we're going to begin at the front. The first thing we'll show you is your black stone grill. Now, you may notice that there's not really a grill here. That's because they're on back order. I believe what they're doing is they give you a voucher for it so that you can get it when it comes back in stock. So basically I'm showing you the base where it connects to the trailer via this port here. This receiver slides in, it doesn't lock in or anything, it merely just dry fits in there. And then this top piece slides into here and you can lock the top piece in place with these nuts here. So the grill itself, when you do get it, will sit right on top. You will see that it is connected via this quick connect hose on both ends, here and here, and can connect to the propane system of the trailer right here. We will notice that there is a valve here as well that is currently in the closed position, and that would be in the open position. This way you can utilize the onboard dual 30-pound propane bottles up front for your grill and not have to pack or provide separate fuel for your grill. Next thing we'll come to is your front pass-through storage compartment. You'll notice that they've went to the magnetic catch, which is good. So in your front storage compartment, have some lighting. And the most important thing you'll find in here are your manual crank for your electric tongue jack and your manual crank for your stabilization jacks. Speaking of stabilization jacks, there are 4 stabilization jacks. They are located at the 4 corners of the trailer. Now it's important to note that you should have the trailer fully level, and then once you have it fully level, you snug these up to the ground, and depending on where you're camping or how level the ground is, you may actually need some blocking underneath. 6x6s work well, but there are other alternatives as well. The 2 front side marker lights, this one and the one in the same location on the off door side, are pre-wired for side view cameras that will give you a side view of the trailer while stationary or while in transit via a head unit or screen that can be mounted via 12-volt power inside the RV itself or from the tow vehicle. That way you're able to monitor the sides, and if you purchase the rear view camera as well, you can monitor pretty much every side of your RV while in transit. Now this is pre-wired, however it does not come with it. It would be a separate purchase. Now as we continue along to the front, I'll make note of your battery storage compartment area. And right in front of that we have your dual 30-pound propane system connected via a crossover regulator. What this crossover regulator will do, you'll see currently this handle is pointing towards this bottle. When this tank or bottle drops below a predetermined amount of pressure determined by the regulator, and we cannot adjust it, when it drops below that predetermined amount of pressure, it'll automatically cross over and draw from the other bottle or tank, regardless of where this handle is pointing. So what that means, on those cold nights, if you're running your furnace and you're keeping warm, if you run out of propane on one bottle, you don't have to get out and manually change the bottle over. Now directly in front of our propane, we have our electric tongue jack. A few things to note here. One, being the light, very handy for loading at night. 2 would be the electric switch to go up and down. And 3, there's this rubber stopper here. Now when I showed you earlier in the front storage compartment the manual crank for the electric tongue jack, you remove this stopper and you can put the crank in here and you can move the jack up and down manually if needed. Before we leave the front, a couple more things to talk about. The first thing that we'll talk about is the foot. You can see here that the foot is extended. Once you have it locked on or on the ball in your vehicle, bring this foot up as far as you can. That's just the better way to travel. Then also on this side we have your safety breakaway switch. The safety breakaway switch is connected to your tow vehicle via the loop end. In the event that the tow vehicle and RV get separated, this pin will be pulled free of the housing, engaging your trailer brakes. I have seen it a time or two that during hookup, for whatever reason, whether it gets tripped over or caught on something, I have seen these pins pop partially out and engage the trailer brakes. So if you find that your trailer brakes are engaged and you're not expecting them to be, always just take a quick look and make sure this pin is fully inserted into the housing. Now before we move even further, I just want to show you I had taken the propane cover off so you could see better. But you will notice that there is this access door at the top right here. You can unscrew these little nuts and you can flip this door open, giving you access to your regulator and your bottles without having to take the cover right off if you do not wish to do so. We have another front loading light here, and it'll just show the off-door pre-wired side view camera body along with the marker light. And then we have your off-door pass-through storage compartment access. So we make our way along the off-door side of the RV. We'll squat down here to make note of your black and gray water output, as well as the valve handles for both. Now the next area we'll come to is near the off-door rear corner. This is where you're going to find your outdoor shower. We also have the main input for your cable or satellite, and in between those two we have your city water connection. Now the city water connection, you can think of it as the feed to your house from the city. The difference being here is that you connect your garden hose from either your house or the campground into this spot here, and once you've done that, it will pressurize the water system inside the RV the same way the feed from the city pressurizes your house. As we come around, we'll note the ladder access to the roof, and if we slide over to the middle, you'll see that black thing in the middle there. That is your pre-wired housing or camera body for the rear view camera. If we go directly below the back window here, we will see that you have your 30 amp power supply cord here. This is what you would connect to your campground power or your power at home. Now, often at home we do not have a 30 amp outlet on the outside of our home, so we have provided you with a conversion block that basically converts the plug-in down from a 30 amp to a 15 amp, allowing you to connect to power at home. You most likely won't be able to run the AC off the 15 amps, but you should be okay to run the lights, charge the battery, run the fridge, etc. A couple more things to make note of on the outside here. We'll start with the awning, and at either end and the head of the awning we have speakers. Those speakers can be used with the stereo inside the RV. Also here we have the outside access to your hot water tank. You'll see that you have your drain plug here. When you need to drain your hot water tank, whether you're winterizing yourself or you just want fresh water, you would remove this plug or the cap. However, before you do that, always make sure that you open the pressure relief valve first. Otherwise, when you get down to the last thread or two, that cap's liable to come shooting out at you. Right beside the outside access to the hot water tank, we have a 120 volt power supply, as well as a mounting bracket for TV, and the output for cable or satellite TV as well. Also in this area is the inlet for your potable water or fresh water tank. If you choose to either be camping off grid, or if you're camping at a campground that doesn't have potable water, you can fill the freshwater tank before you leave and draw from the freshwater tank via the onboard water pump. Next, we'll come to the outside to refrigerator. This outside access also serves as venting for the refrigerator. It is actually very important that this remains obstruction free, so max airflow can pass through the vent, allowing your refrigerator to operate properly. Last couple things we'll come to is the tank flush. This is used to flush out your black tank. You would empty your tank first, leave it connected to the sewer system of either the campground that you're at, and then you would connect your hose to here and run this through the black tank with the valve open so it can freely move from the system and into the sewer of the campground that you're at. So next we'll make our way inside and we'll see what we have to look at in here. One of the first things that we're going to come to is your fire extinguisher. I like the location just inside the door, easily accessible outside if you should need it while barbecuing, but also easily accessible for inside cooking as well. So you may notice I have your one chair set up like this, and the other chair is set up like this. I wanted to illustrate the way to have this chair in order for the slide to close properly. You'll also note the travel straps that are provided, and the seat protector in case there's any rubbing. It doesn't wear through the fabric of the seat. And again, there is one for this as well. I wanted to leave this like it just so you could get an idea of the way it should be when it travels. If we turn around here, we'll make note of your carbon monoxide or propane detector. You'll notice at the moment it has a green light. That means the system is functioning properly and ready to protect you. However, there is a button here, and it's recommended that this is tested every so often. What I find easiest is to test it with your smoke detector, and the general rule of thumb for testing your smoke detector is every 6 months at daylight savings time. So when you press the button on the front, the green light will turn to red. You'll hear a series of loud beeps, and then it'll go back to green, indicating the system is functioning properly. So while we're down here, I had mentioned when talking about the freshwater tank about your water pump, and here it is here. You'll make note of the fill tube. This can be used to fill your system with antifreeze when you're winterizing. And in order to switch between the fill tube and drawing from the freshwater tank, we will turn this valve. At the moment, the valve is in line with the feeder for the freshwater tank, so at the moment the water pump will draw from the freshwater tank. And you will note that I previously removed a piece from this area to get easier access with the video for the water pump. So as we stand up, we'll make note of your indication panel giving you the battery, fresh and black and gray water tank levels, as well as switching for the water pump and the water heater on gas and electric. Also in this compartment, we have the switching for the awning light and the main lights for the RV, as well as control for the awning and slide itself. Now we did note earlier when talking about the carbon monoxide propane detector, and there's the smoke detector there. And it being recommended to change every 6 months at daylight savings time. Okay, next thing we're going to look at is your stove and range top here, or cooktop. Always, 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 before you attempt to light the top burners, fold the glass out of the way. It will break the glass if you do not. So in order to light this, we turn the handle to the light position and crank the sparker knob, and it will light. The same thing to be done for the oven portion. However, first, always open the door, turn the knob to the light position. The only difference from lighting the stove and the top burners is that now at this point you have to press and hold the knob in while you turn the sparking knob. The other thing I'd like to make sure that you always close this before driving. If you hit a bump or anything causes it to slam shut, although very unlikely, it can happen and it would most likely lead to breaking of the glass. So if we squat down, we'll take a look at your load center. This is where you'll find the breakers, much the same that you'd have in your house, and they function pretty much the same as well. And your fuses. These fuses will control the low voltage side, and you'll see on the side here there's actually some LED lighting that when one of the fuses is blown or the circuit is not operating as it should, you will see a red light light up beside the affected fuse. Well, we're down here. We'll open this compartment under the sink, and this will allow you access to the back side of the hot water tank. And you will see here that there's 1 and 2 valves. They can either point in the direction they currently are in their current position. That is for summer use or to pass water through the hot water tank. In order to bypass the hot water tank, you will change both positions of the valve so they point down towards the floor, and that will then pass water through this bypass instead of into the tank, and you would use that if you were winterizing. Next, we'll slide over to the refrigerator here. We'll make note on this. We have your power button, and then we have 3 options, either a gas only, electric only, or an auto. The auto switch between gas and electric, automatically selecting electric if it's available. You may note when in gas mode only that the light here will turn from green to an orangey color. That would indicate there is an issue lighting the refrigerator. It will attempt to light itself 3 times and then stop. If it does that and was unsuccessful, and you'll see the yellow light here indicating that it wasn't successful, I would turn it off, go outside to the front, make sure the valves are open on the propane bottles, and then wait a couple minutes. A lot of times it's a matter of pressure. If the valves are open, sometimes there's just not enough gas on the line to build the pressure to light. So usually if you wait a minute or 2 and then come back and try again, it'll light just fine. While we're over here, we'll take a look at the stereo for the unit. This stereo is equipped with a DVD player, Bluetooth, auxiliary, HDMI connectivity, as well as a USB charging capability. So zone 1, which would be the inside of the RV. And as I mentioned earlier, the stereo, you can play the sound outside on the awning speakers via zone 2. You can have either one independent of each other or both operating at the same time. While we're down here, we'll take a look at your signal booster for the antenna. Important to note, with the green light on, the signal booster is on. However, that will or could affect your cable or satellite signal. So if you're trying to connect to cable or satellite, always make sure this booster is off. Here we have found your thermostat. These thermostats have a capacitive touch button, meaning they do not have to be mechanically depressed, so they are very light touch to cycle through your options. You can control your fan high, low, or auto. I always would leave it on auto. And then we have your furnace and your AC, and you can cycle between the temperature with the side arrows here. Now the reason why I leave it on auto is the way these work. If you have it set to high fan and you turn on your furnace, it will automatically run the reefer fan or the AC fan as well, which is quite loud. Now if you do want that, then by all means turn it to high fan here. However, auto fan usually is good for most, and that way it will not turn on the reefer fan or AC fan while you're trying to use the furnace. Okay, since we've talked about the reefer, I want to make a quick note of the baffles or the louvered doors here. What these doors will do is either allow all the air to fall down here, as they will in this position, or if they're closed, it'll force the air to these ports located throughout the RV. So we come into your bathroom. It's a pretty standard bathroom, decent size. The most important thing to note in the bathroom is your GFCI. Now this is the GFCI for the entire unit. If it is tripped, there will be a red light on here. In order to reset it, you press this top black button and it will reset the circuit. You may find that if you do not have power to the outside plugs or any plug on the counter near water, that this could be the culprit. Come and take a look to see if the GFCI has been tripped. Last but not least, we come to the master bedroom. First thing in the door, we'll take a minute to talk about your emergency exit. It's pretty standard, fairly easy to operate. Push down on the black tab, then push the red handle up and out. Once it is fully perpendicular to the window, you can push it all the way out. Pull the red tab to remove the screen and you may escape to safety. Right above this emergency exit or this window, you will see our pre-wired location for your solar head unit. This is basically the monitoring system if you go ahead and purchase the extra solar panel equipment. We'll see that in the bedroom there is a mounting block installed for a TV, as well as a cable output and a 120 volt power supply. Also in the bedroom, we have a charging center with a 12 volt plug. This is where you could put in the head unit for the side view and rear view cameras if you purchase those. And it would give you some outdoor monitoring while your RV is parked, or like I mentioned earlier, you can plug it into the tow vehicle and monitor the cameras while in transit. And we also have USB connectivity as well. This bed does lift up for underbed storage and supported by props. I'm not going to lift it up as there isn't anything actually in there at the moment. So as we make our way back into the main area of the RV, just want to take a second to say congratulations if you've purchased a new trailer. Hope you have many years of enjoyment ahead of you. As always, if there's anything that we missed, anything that was important to you, or anything that you just need a little bit more information on, that's absolutely okay. Give us a call and we'll do our best to answer all the questions that you have. And thank you for listening.